Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch Harlan, and welcome to the Truth Talks podcast. Today's episode, I have Donald Glenn Horn, better known as Don Horn. Don was selected in the first round of the 1967 NFL Draft, 25th overall. Anybody who knows football is going to know that getting selected in the first round is pretty damn important. So I already know this guy's going to be humble. I'm going to pull everything out of him that I possibly can. And this is something that when producer Chad said, I'm going to get Don Horn on our show, I got real excited because I'm a football fan. Millions of people are football fans. There are some names that's been in your world and in your life, which is iconic with football. And I was most impressed with the fact that you walked down the stairs to our studio and you did it with ease. And I like that.
Well, that's because I got 2 new knees and a new hip. Shoulders are shot. I broke my ankle in high school and never realized it until years later. But, back in the day, we it's a different game today. Back in the day, I'm lucky I'm still 6 feet above instead of 6 feet under right now. I'll tell you that. But,
well, I'm going to start right here then. You just mentioned it.
What's that?
When I was doing my research, you were 6'2", 195. Is that accurate, or were you guys fudging?
I was just a shade under, maybe 16th under 6'2". Now I'm barely 6'1", and 195. And then I remember that my whole rookie year, Lombardi kept coming to me and going, Donald. He always called me Donald. He'd say, Donald, son, you want to play quarterback in this league, you got to be over 200 pounds. I swore he said over 200 pounds. So the next year I came back at 202. Then I went to 203, 204. Then he started fining me $50 a pound over 200. I said, Coach, you said over 200 pounds. I did not. I said 200 pounds. So I'm going, man, I hadn't seen the south side of 200 cents.
Well, that's just not a name you throw out. You don't just throw out a name, Vince Lombardi. You know what? You can't just do that. I mean, this guy is an iconic coach, and you played for this man.
Yeah, you haven't lived till you got do you have your fanny chewed out by Vince or motivated by Vince? Vince had a different way of, a different tactic, than most motivators today and over the years would. Vince had a knack of, his idea of motivating you was to take you over in private, Mitch, where nobody could hear you. And he would just, give you all kinds of accolades, blow smoke and stuff, and you could be the greatest this, and just give you all kinds of motivational uplift. And then 5-10 minutes later, you're in practice with all your teammates, and he's just undressing you, and you're going, "Wait a minute, I'm the same guy you just told over there." But he treated everybody that way. He told he would. I saw him one time when I was a rookie. Not one time. One time I was a rookie we were sitting in a meeting watching game film. And we're watching game film, running back and forth. And he always liked to call guys out by their number back in those days. Rather he'd say 64. And Jerry Kramer, all pro. Jerry, look at that. That's pathetic. Pathetic. So Jerry missed a block or something. And he said, so help me, Jerry, I've seen stray dogs wander on the practice field. There'll be better guards than you'll ever be in your life. I'm going, whoa, he's talking to Jerry Kramer that way. But he treated, he busted everybody's fanny, in front of each other. But
so you went to San Diego State, got a ring on it.
Yep, got a national championship ring. Yep, Coach Don Coryell.
And I want to get to some people that that you lived with. But there's a story when I was doing my research, and I absolutely loved it. And supposedly it was quotes by you, but we're going to find out right now. So I like the story that I read about the draft, when you got drafted, because in this article that I read, it basically said you didn't know that Green Bay was necessarily on the list. It was the Giants and.
Yeah, back back in the 60s, the teams didn't have the the arsenal of the scouting abilities and avenues that they have today. So what they would do is certain scouts would come out and they would be like a consortium of 4 or 5 teams together. They would consolidate and trade notes and stuff like that. And the Chargers were looking at me, the 49ers, the Raiders, the Lions, the Giants. There were like a couple other teams that were very heavily, strongly interested in me. And they told me that if I was, available in the first round, they were going to draft me. That's, great, So, and draft was a little bit different back there. I'm sitting in a little bitty room, probably about half the size of this room, listening on the radio. And, and all these scouts are saying, well, just give us a phone number where we can reach you in case we want to call you the day of the draft, or they're like that. So you give them a phone number, and I'm sitting in the PR office of San Diego State with my friend, and gave him his phone number, and just in the first round, and some of these teams that said they're going to draft me, they didn't draft me. So it was towards the end of the first round, and I'm going, well, gosh, I guess maybe you can't believe some of these, some of the things that they tell you in pro football. Some of these teams don't tell you the truth all the time. So about the end of the first round, the phone rings. And I pick it up, and it was, I forget the lady's name, she says, is this Don Horn? I said, yes, ma'am. She says, this is Carol so-and-so, Coach Vincent Lombardi's secretary. Please hold for Coach Lombardi. And Mitch, I thought somebody was jerking my chain. I was just going to no, because I hadn't talked to Green Bay. But come to find out later, they had trade notes with the New York Giants, who were very interested in me, and so they were on the same consortium of the scouting group that they were in. But I held the phone up like this, and I went, somebody, and I was kind of, but when that voice came on, Donald, this is Vincent Lombardi of Green Bay Packers, and he asked me a few questions, He asked me a few questions, and I said, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. Would you interested in playing you have any objections to playing for the Green Bay Packers? No, sir, And he said, Kansas City's picking right now. They were the team that they beat in the Super Bowl one, which I happened to be at. And
you had to rub that in, didn't you?
Yeah. And,
you threw that in because you knew I was a Chiefs fan.
So he said, Kansas City's picking right now. We have the next pick. And he says, I'll call you back in 10 minutes. And then 10, 15 minutes later, the phone rang. Welcome to the Green Bay Packers. Wow, and that's how it happened, And so, yeah.
So I got to ask you this. So it was a different era, different time. What about like your parents and stuff? Like, what was it like then? You everybody has a kid, and then all of a sudden you get to be in the NFL, like the greatest thing ever.
Well, I was living in college then, and they were. At that time, they were both. I believe they were living up in Alaska. My dad was still working. He was living outside of Anchorage, Alaska. They were proud and stuff like that, whatever. But I never, like any other parent would be, I'm sure.
But did you tell him I'm going to make $15,000? Now, so far, the article that you told me was exactly the way that I read it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I saw another one that it was $15,000. Was that a signing bonus, or was that?
I got a little bit of a bonus, not much. The big money came the year before with Donnie Anderson and Jim Grabowski, because the year I got drafted was the first year of the combined draft. I missed the dual draft where the AFL was bidding against the NFL and vice versa and all that stuff. So, I got drafted a year too late for the big money. But I got a little bit of a bonus, but my salary was $15,000. And Vince was smart. This is all during the Vietnam era, and when you got out of college, you went from 2S student to 1A, draft. So, and all during he was, in case you got drafted or missed a season or whatever, service, because you had to serve in the service. So I signed a 3-year deal with Green Bay, but instead of 1 3-year contract, it was 3 1-year contracts. So I made 15, 17, and my last year I made 23. But my second year, when I was 17, I had to go in the Army during the season. And I missed every I missed the last, I got paid for the last 2 games because I was, but.
That was the 68 season.
The 68 season.
Because I read that.
I think I made a total of $2,300 that year. But, and Vince said, well, we don't, Uncle Stan's paying you, so we don't have to. You can't double dip. So why not? But anyway.
You're a piece of literally walking history. Like This is where I'm going to geek out just a little bit because I got to. Because every single person that sits in those stands dreams of running through one of those tunnels or dreams of doing that.
Yeah.
Does that come back like the smell of Friday night football for us that played high school football? I mean,
oh yeah, yeah. But that's something you can't describe. That's one of the things that you miss when you get out of the game. You miss that.
Give me your best damn effort.
You miss the camaraderie of the locker room, the closeness of you guys, blood, sweat, and tears that you do during the week of preparation or the months of preparation prior to the season or a big game. But there's something about when you're in a huddle and you got 20 other eyes looking at you, in that huddle, and you got to drive 80 yards with 2 minutes to go, and there's a feeling that you just can't get, outside of that, I don't think. And talking about standing in that locker room or in that tunnel, it's funny because we were back in last month. I was back in Green Bay for Alumni Week, and in fact, it happened to be the Sunday night game in Lambeau with the Packers and the Bears, the oldest rivalry in professional football. Yeah. And I thought it was kind of a class act, and and I've heard good, bad, and ugly with Aaron Rodgers, but we're on the field and they introduced us at halftime, and then we came out of the tunnel, we go on the field, and then we're out there, they introduce everybody, then the Packers run on the field to get ready for the second half. So they come out of the tunnel, and then and we start walking back into the tunnel. All the Packers came on the field to go to their benches. Aaron stood in the tunnel. Aaron stood in the tunnel and shook every one of our hands as we came back off the field back in to the tunnel. That was a class act that he did, but I've heard other stories about him too. But,
Hey, you know what? All we know is the experience that person showed us in the moment.
That's right.
As far as I'm concerned, he's a class act.
Yeah, he gets the job done. He just needs some more help this year.
Right? Yeah.
He needs a little more assistance, but yeah.
You love watching football?
I do, but not like I used to, I guess. I mean, it's just a different game today. I mean, you probably read the story too, and I'm a rookie, and we get, the final cut, and we're finally in the locker room with Vince, and we got 43 guys in there, and Vince gets in there, and this was 1967. Super Bowl paid $15,000 if you won it. If you went to the Super Bowl, it paid $15,000. My salary was $15,000. So if you went to the Super Bowl, I could double my salary, but just by winning one game. But we get in that locker room, and Vince says, "Gentlemen, welcome to Green Bay Packers. And there's 3 reasons why you're in here. There's only 3 reasons why you're in this room. Number 1, it's your little boy in you. The little boy in you that loves this game of football. You love this game just so much you want to play it as long as you can the rest of your life. You just love the game. That's what. Second reason, you not only love the game, you want to be the best at it. You want to work. You want to, pride. You want to be the best quarterback, the best linebacker, the best wide receiver, the best whatever. The guard. You love it. And you want to be the best. And the third reason, and that's a sorry ass reason, is for the money alone. And if $15,000 isn't enough to motivate you, I don't know what the heck is, But, and he said, unfortunately, there's 2 or 3 in here only playing for the money. And that's a sad, sad reason,
And I read that article.
And these kids today, I'm sitting there one night. This was years and years ago, having dinner with Al McGuire, the basketball coach of Marquette.
Yeah.
I think it was 1970. We're having dinner in downtown Milwaukee, and it happened to be the week that the Bucks signed Lou Alcindor for $1 million. $1 million. Unheard of.
Yeah.
And he says, "Don, that's one reason. You never see me coach in the NBA." He said, "That's the beginning, signing Lou Alcindor for $1 million, that's the beginning of the end of professional sports as we know it today." I said, "What do you mean, Coach?" He says, "No one's worth $1 million. No one's worth $1 million. Elvis Presley's not worth $1 million. Frank Sinatra's not worth $1 million. Lou Alcindor's not worth $1 million. No one's." His point is that how do you motivate kids? As soon as you start paying, he said, players more than the front office or the head coach, you lose kind of the chain of command and stuff. You kind of breaks down. And he said that's the beginning of the end. And,
oh boy, I tell you what, I'm seeing all these names associated with you that are just iconic in football. But it's a different type of iconic than you see now. I mean, you got the Patrick Mahomes now, and which I think they will be kind of iconic to the next generation. But I'm going to name a name, and then I want to see how you associate with yourself. Joe Gibbs.
Great coach. Great individual. Great coach. You know, Joe was a graduate assistant and with me at San Diego State for 2 years. And he, we had John Madden and Don Coryell, offense, defense. And sometimes they'd lose it during the game. And the guy that kept it cool was this young guy, Joe Gibbs. Joe could coach. He could motivate. He knew what to do. I'm saying one afternoon, I'm looking up him, and he's saying the right thing to the right people at the right time. And I'm saying, that guy's really good. I didn't know that was prior to he was going to have the great career that he had.
Right.
Yeah, I still stay in touch with Joe every now and then. Yeah, great coach, great guy.
Not to mention owning all his race cars and everything else that the guy owns.
Yeah.
You mentioned John Madden. This is every kid that's little now knows John Madden because of all John Madden football. You knew this man.
Yeah, I knew he actually took a class from him too, a couple of classes, but I knew him when he was before he was a big name. He was supposed to get a job. He was coaching at Hancock Junior College, right in San Luis Obispo in California, and he thought he would get a job with the Raiders one year, and he didn't get the job, and he was kind of looking for a job, and then one of the other assistant coaches recommended him to Coach Coryell, that he hired John for his defensive coordinator. And so, long story short, Coryell signed him, and he's our defensive coordinator. And they were telling the story. This one coach was telling the story about the first year John was down there, the year before I got there. He said, John's down there about 2 weeks, and he's not disappointed, but he's down at San Diego State rather than the Oakland Raiders. So he said, I've been down there about 2 weeks. He's talking to Sid Hall, the other coach. He said, Sid, I've been there 2 weeks. I'm not sure what kind of defensive philosophy Coach Coryell wants us to, what does he prefer? What does he want me to run? Does he want a 4-3? Does he want the Okie? Does he want the 5-2? What kind of coverages does he want and stuff? And he says, but at that time, Coryell's walking down the hallway. He, Coach, come on in. John's got we got a question for you. John, John says, Coach, what defensive philosophy do you prefer? What do you want to do? Coryell, he talked with the hair lip a little bit. We loved the guy. He called him Daffy Duck, Daff. So Coryell just goes, oh, Jesus, this 3 and out. And then he walked away. Madden says, 3 and out. Okay, that's his philosophy.
Pretty simple.
3 and out, yeah. Just give me the ball back. And I always said his offensive philosophy was score early and score often. I told him that more than once, score early and score often. So
that sounds simple, but it's so true, right? 3 and out.
Yeah.
I love that.
3 and out, that's what it is. In fact, I was talking to a tennis coach the other day at a local high school, and he wanted me to come and speak and motivate his, try to motivate his team. I said, it's simple. One thing to do, get the first serve in. Get the first serve in, it's done. He says, I never thought of it that way.
Right?
Just get the first serve in, and you'll be fine. Anyways,
this is what I love about you guys, man. It was the purest form. 3 and out. That's the ticket. Good. All right. So there's a pretty famous picture of a guy by the name of Dick Butkus trying to kill you. Oh yeah. And they caught it on film.
Yeah, more than once.
What's it like looking in the eyes of Dick Butkus when you're on the other side holding the ball?
Well, the first series, the first series I played against the Bears, and in fact, my best games were against the Bears in Chicago. Then we used to play them at Wrigley Field. That was a great venue. Erie, just a great venue. And but my first series I ever played, in fact, I just got out of the Army, and I remember looking across at him, and he's snorting and stuff and whatever. And I think he called me one time. He called me, "Wait, hey Horn, what's your first name? 10?" And then a couple of plays later, "Oh, it's not 10, it's green," and that kind of thing. But I think the first series I lost 13 yards or something. Then after that, I said, "The heck with it," you know. I mean,
Was he a trash talker?
Yeah, he's a trash talker.
Were you a trash talker?
No, I would trash. No, not with Vince around. He didn't do that. But he would talk about your pedigree and your mother and stuff and whatever. I know one time I threw a pass. I isolated him. He had bad knees. He had one real bad knee. I threw a pass and kind of isolated a guy named Travis Williams. We called him the Road Runner. And Dick had the coverage. Dick had inside coverage. If Travis went inside, then Dick was supposed to cover it. He went outside to the other linebacker to get him. And Travis went inside, and I hit Travis on this little play. And anyway, long story short, he ran about 28 yards for a touchdown. And Butkus came off that field, looked, cussing me out, Horn, he said, "You picking on a cripple, I'm going to kill you. You picking on, you picking on." See, he couldn't change direction. He cussed me out. Said, "You picking on a cripple, I'm going to kill you."
But did he mean it? He's probably like, "I mean it."
Yeah. There were other guys on that team were dirtier than him. One guy broke my nose, and it was no penalty, nothing. After I always say some of these guys on that team made Butkus look like a saint. I mean, those monsters of the Midway, I tell you.
This is why I think, especially today's kids, they need Don Horn. You got to have Don Horn because these stories are they're invaluable. So I'm gonna circle this then because you led me right into it. I also read an article that you call a lot of your own plays.
We call all our own plays.
So that's awesome because if Butkus has a bad knee and he can't keep up, is that too far of a stretch to say quarterbacks today should still do that as well? You're in the game, you get to see it.
Sure, yeah, and the coaches know that too, and whenever they game prep and that type of thing. Yeah, we call all our own plays. In fact, when I was standing on the sidelines, I played behind, 2/3 of my career I played behind future Hall of Fame quarterbacks, Bart Starr and Dan Fouts.
Yeah.
So I'd be at the wrong place at the wrong time. But, I had a bad shoulder and bad knee. But I know when I was in Green Bay, there were Zeke Vitkowski was the other quarterback. I was the quarterback, and then Bart. And we had meetings, before meetings. Then we had meetings. Then we had another meeting after the meetings, and a quarterback meeting and stuff. The playback was much simpler. The playbook was much simpler back then, and much smaller. And we could stand on the sidelines, no matter what quarterback was in the game. The other two quarterbacks on the sidelines, probably 3 out of 5 times, we'd call the same play that whoever was in the game was. That's how, because we were just Lombardi just said, this situation, that situation, whatever. You get in the red zone, you do this, you get, whatever. That's it, So it's just a different game. But every now and then, and things happen during the game people don't realize sometimes. I had one time I had a guard come up to me. He got his foot stepped on, or he had a cramp or something, or and he came up to me and he says, "Oh, Don, lay off me for a couple of plays, lay off me, and okay, so I called a play. I walked up the line of scrimmage, checked out the front. And it was just screaming for this guy to trap. It was a quick trap. And it was screaming. I just, so I audible, I hesitated. And he's down, he's my right guard. And I audibled to this play where he had to pull a trap. And
after he just told you.
Yeah, after he told me to lay off of me. So I audibled and I kind of hesitated. And I hear this. You SOB. Or he yelled it out. I called him. He made the block, but he cussed me out. But there's things like that. Sometimes the guy gets he just lay off me for it. Running back's the same thing. Let me rest it. But now they go.
Yeah.
They're waving their hand or
tap the helmet.
One play. Come on, man. Jeez. God dang. Jimmy Taylor said this years ago, my running back for the Packers, they asked him years and years ago, they said, "What's the difference to the game today?" This is probably back in the 90s than it was back in the 50s or 60s. And he said 2 things. Number one, we don't run out of bounds today like they do back then. They're always running out of bounds today, And he says, number two, we all had to have an off-season job, which we did. We had off-season jobs. Money, money, money. It's all, it's all money, money. What? God. I was just in SoFi last week. I played, with the Chargers too, and I was at the Charger Alumni Week. It's the first time I was at SoFi. Just these stadiums today are unbelievable, unbelievable. I mean, I never got to play in the green, the Green Monster back in, but I played in Wrigley Field, old Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
Played the Giants in old Yankee Stadium. You talk about, Brentwood, baseball calls it a clubhouse. We call it a locker room. But I remember, I'm a rookie. We're sitting in there in the Yankee Stadium. Lombardi would come in there and say, gentlemen, can you feel the ghosts of the greats of the past in there? You just get an eerie feeling, there's something Babe Ruth, all these people, who knows, you're sitting there, you could have sat right there, you're a young kid, and you feel the greats, the ghosts of the greats of the past. Yeah,
Well, that's where I want to go next. So you guys were literally gridiron. I mean, it was the iron. Played through injuries and all this nonsense. Smelling salt was your guys' cortisone then.
Yeah. Smelling salt. What day is it? Probably Sunday. You're playing the game. It's probably Sunday, and instead they, how many things? Probably two. Instead of doing something like this, whatever.
Did you play through a lot of injury?
Well, I played a few. A lot of my teammates played a lot more. Yeah, I had my fair share, and back in the day, they would, they'd shoot you up, broken ribs, and I know I played one game against the Bears. I had broken ribs, and they shoot you up before the game with xylocaine and a whole bunch of aspirin, and then at the end of the second quarter, it starts to wear off, and you go in halftime, and and everybody's getting a speech over there, and you're back over here, and they're shooting you again. And I tell you, Mitch, we won the game, and I played, but I got up. Sunday was the game. I got up. I could not get out of bed. I laid in bed Monday morning. I cried. I could not get out of bed. It hurt so bad.
Yeah.
They just get in, and I had bad knees, bad shoulders, and they just shoot you up, and drain your knee and stuff. And I had one year at a doctor. He gave me a bottle of Ascript. They called Ascriptin back then. They were coated aspirin. They looked like M&Ms, but they were, they're all white and they're coated aspirin. And he says, take 12 in the morning, take 12 at noon, and take 12 at night. I went, that's going to tear my gut. No, it won't. They're coated. They won't hurt you. It just gets you ready for, and it's just, they didn't care what happened to the guys 20, 30 years later. Now they're starting to pay the price. You know? Concussions, we had a lot of guys played with concussions all the time. That's all we knew. That's all they. Oh. I had I had 3 concussions. It gets me, Mitch, is that that's one reason I'm doing a lot of stuff now with the Gridiron Greats Assistance Fund. But my teammate Jerry Kramer started about 15, 16 years ago, and then he passed it on to Mike Ditka.
Yeah,
and it's an organization that raises money for former players that are in dire need of assistance, that the league refuses to help, the Player Association refuses to help, the NFL alumni refuses to help. I have a teammate of mine. He passed away 6-7 months ago, and I spoke at his memorial service. He needed help. He's needed help for 20 years. And he's gone to the league and asked for assistance. And doggone it, he concussions and stuff. Yeah. He needed it, and the league came back to him and says, "Well, we know you have some, congenitive, issues.
Yeah.
But back when you played in the '60s and '70s, you guys are kind of known to abuse your body with steroids and some drugs and alcohol and stuff. So we can't say it's related to just concussions alone. So they kept refusing him. And that guy needed it, know. So we raised money to guys that just need help that the league refuses. And there's quite a few of them that really need the help that the league just says. They just turn their back on them.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
terrible, especially with the
Yeah.
kind of money that
Oh,
they generate.
all they have to do, they have the money. Just do what's right.
Yeah.
I mean, thank God I don't need it. I'd take it if they gave it to me, but I don't need it. But there's guys that need it. That's what upsets me so much. There's guys that really need it. So
I'm glad that topic came up because I was going to ask you about that. And I mean, we all enjoy that sport so much. Everybody pays so much money to go and see that. And I mean, literally, take a family to an NFL football game now it's expensive.
I was just at SoFi, last week. Nice seats. We had, they gave each one of the alumni 2 tickets, and they scattered us around the stadium and stuff. $550, $550 each ticket, $1,100 for 2 tickets. Parking's another $85, and then cold hot dog and a hot warm beer is another $20. But you're going to spend $1,400 just to see 2 people to watch the game. I mean, it's just, how do you? I was at the first, that first Super Bowl. Now I grew up in L.A. I never spend more than $1, maybe 50 cents to watch a Ram game. Did it for years, as a kid, sitting high in the West Stands.
Are you going to the $12 seat?
I'm going to the $12 seat.
Can you tell I did my homework?
Yeah. I'm sitting in the stands, and I bought my tickets from Bobby Beathard, who coached me in high school a little bit, and then his brother Pete was backing up Lenny Dawson. So Bobby called me up and. I got 2 tickets, I said, he said, I'm a scout now. And I said, yeah, I know you're a scout, for the Chiefs. I said, it's great. He always wanted to get in the NFL. And I got 2 tickets, $12. Bob, you're talking out of your mind. $12, I can't afford that. And anyway, and Jerry Kramer told me later on I got screwed because, his cost 10.
Hey, take me back to this a little bit because I've seen pictures of this. Lenny Dawson, I think it was Lenny Dawson. I might be mistaken, so that might not be fair. But it was one of them. They're sitting there smoking a cigarette during halftime.
Oh, yeah. A lot of us smoked that. I smoked at halftime a little bit, yeah. I said half the team did. Half the team did. We come in there, and in fact, some of the coaches smoked on the sidelines. Lombardi smoked, and, on the sidelines. He's lighting up not a Camel, but whatever it was, I don't know. But, back in the we had ashtrays in our lockers. Yeah, ashtrays in our lockers back then. Yeah,
that was the purest form of football.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and we had. I remember one day he came in, and we had this guy named Travis Williams. He set all kinds of records. Kickoff returns and punt returns. Great running back. He passed away years ago, but he actually won a couple of games for us. Just speedster and stuff. And we had a bad practice or something one day, and we come in from practice. A lot of these guys just sit down, and the first thing they do is sit down, and light up a Marlboro or a Winston or something. I remember Travis came down, he sat down in his chair, fired a cigarette, stuff like that. And Coach Lombardi walked past him. Doggone it, Travis! You got to stop that smoking. You're so good. Just think how great you could be if you didn't smoke. He says, you're cheating your family. You're cheating yourself. You're cheating God. And he started, trying to get him to, stop smoking. And Travis, and Travis put the cigarette out like that, and it's good. Vince walked away. Travis got it. He lit up another right away, smoking like a chimney. But Vince would just. I always say, Jerry Kramer wrote that first book. He wrote his first book, and it's called Instant Replay.
Yeah.
It happened to be my rookie year when Jerry started writing the books, and in cahoots with Dick Schaap, I think, back in New York. And again, we come in from practice, and every day guys would come in, come in practice, do something else, and Jerry'd sit down, pick up his little, tape recorder. Well, today this happened, that happened, this happened, this and that, and then he would kind of go over the events of the practice that day, what he could remember. And at the end of the week, he'd take that tape and then send it to New York, and then Dick Schaap would edit it, and make. This went on for a couple of months, and we had I don't know what, we had a bad game where Jerry had, and one day we came in after practice. And Lombardi saw Jerry with that tape recorder again. Damn it, Jerry. So help me. he said, there's too many outside interests on this team right now. The guys would, you had guys thinking about Pizza Huts and this and that. He wanted the guys thinking about the Packers, Too many outside interests on this team right now. So, Hubby, if I see that tape recorder one more time, I'll throw it in the trash can. Greg puts it away like that, I want to see that anyway. Next day, he comes in practice, Jerry's not there. So you go in the head, you go in the bathroom, I'm standing there doing my business, and I hear the sound back in the corner commode back here. I hear this. Well, today this happened. Jerry's in the commode locked. I told everybody half that book was recorded in the bathroom at Lambeau Field. Hiding from Vince.
Oh, that is so good.
So anyway,
I'm going to take this kind of a little bit more modern day, and we got this kid at Erie High School here. He's a quarterback. He's about 6'2", 220 now, and he's pretty special kid. And I happen to know him personally, and guys like you, I think, are absolute treasures, man, like absolute treasures of the world. Now they got all this NIL money. I love that quote that said, I know in here 2 or 3 of you are here for the money, and that's despicable, I think it's exactly the opposite of what you said now. In the modern day, it's now everybody's in about the money.
Yeah.
If this kid's sitting across from you and he loves football and he wants to go that next level and play in the NFL, what do you tell a kid like that?
Keep us believe in yourself. Don't listen to anybody. I tell you I was about 11 years old when I kind of told myself what I wanted to do. I wanted to try to be a professional football player. I wanted to try to play quarterback. And Mitch, I'd be a rich man today if I would have listened. I had so many people tell me I was too fat, I was too slow, I was too this, I was too that. I'd never make it. I'd be, if I had 25 cents, or I'd be a rich guy today. Believe in yourself, and just keep working at it. Just work. Don't be content, and keep working.
Love the game more than the money.
Yeah, well, that's what it sounds like. Somebody like the little boy in you again. You love the game. You're going to play it, and I don't care. I'm going to be the best. And if it's in your heart, it'll come out. It'll come out.
Yeah.
And somewhere along the line too, every now and then you get you got to stay focused. You don't want to get sidetracked with girls.
That's right.
Whatever. In grades and that type of thing is different, but believe in yourself and just keep believing in yourself. Don't listen to any naysayers, and get as much good advice and stuff. Like when I grew up, we didn't have any of the camps and stuff they have today.
Yeah.
They have all these camps that these kids go to. These quarterback camps and this wide receiver camps, and I'd take advantage of all that too. As much as you could, just to try to improve yourself and get better and keep better and always get better. But we were kind of self-taught at Myra back in the 50s, and we'd see something on black and white TV, and you try to emulate people and stuff, and try to copy them as best as you can, and do this and that. You want to be like him. I want to be like him, and by doing that, you also did some good things, but you also developed some bad habits.
Yeah.
And over the course of time, the bad habits they're difficult to get rid of. And so, today these kids have a little, much better advantage. And they say, well, how soon should you start your kid? Well, there's pros and cons of that. If the kid,
I agree.
There's, some kids can handle it, and some kids can at early, whatever. That's the unknown. I don't know, but so if it's in your heart, and it sounds like this kid might have something like that in his heart.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I want him to meet you.
Yeah.
I want him to meet you.
Yeah.
I want my kid to meet you.
I always tell people, you're better than you think you are. You're better than you think you are.
That's a great line.
You just simply you're better than you think you are. And in the end, you're better than because you just keep
I love that sentence.
Yeah.
Better than you think you are.
Yeah.
I got to ask you this, because I think this is something that I think if I was watching this is something I'd want to know. Life is not a dress rehearsal. I probably say that a million times in my office. Knowing that it's not a dress rehearsal, you were a NFL quarterback, you won a Super Bowl. Would you ever trade that for anything? Would you trade it to walk a little better, maybe have all straight fingers?
I like to have maybe 8 or 10 passes back. A few plays I would do, I'd make a little different decision. Outside of that, no.
I think, again, I like to ask questions from the guy standing in the stands, sitting in the stands. And we look at you guys like, oh my God, like if I could just do that one time.
One time, yeah.
I mean, does it make you, I would think that no matter how bent my fingers are, how bad my knees and hips creaked as you're coming down, of course, now we got replacement, but I mean, I just can't imagine. I mean, that seems like a fairy tale life to me.
I'd say over 99% of probably the former players that I know wouldn't trade it. Every now and then there's somebody that says, yeah, I wish I had done it or whatever. But, there's always a few people like that. But 99+% wouldn't trade it whatsoever.
Do you love sharing the stories?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I like to talk. I start talking. In fact, I think just talking to you now, I think about stuff and I talk about something else. Like, what was it? Yes, like I said earlier, it reminds me of things I haven't talked about. And I'm talking about something. God, yeah, I remember. I talk about this or that subject or whatever, or this little story or whatever. I got traded here in '71. Yeah, I tell you, the best running back I ever played with was Floyd Little.
Yeah.
Floyd, he should have been a Hall of Fame 40 years ago or longer. Never played with a guy like that the more you gave him the ball, the more you fed him the ball, the stronger he got. And I wasn't used to that. I came here and I came from Green Bay, playing for Lombardi where, when Lombardi spoke, it's gospel. You do what he said. And so I opened up. We had a pretty good defense. Didn't have much of an offense. We didn't have any wide receivers to speak of. And offensive line was so-so, but Floyd that's all we had. And we opened up that game that year against the Miami Dolphins. That's that they call it the infamous half loaf game. I don't know if you heard about that.
Yeah, I do.
I quarterbacked that game, and Jim Turner missed a 19-yard field goal right at the end of the first half, going into the south stands. Or if he'd have made that field goal, we'd have been ahead 13-3. But anyway, so towards the end of the game, it's tied 10-10. We get the ball back. We got about maybe 70 yards to go. And if we could have driven the ball down 30, 35 yards, maybe kicked the field goal, won the game, or tried to. So, I go in the huddle. And, Saban yelled at me something. I go in the huddle and I call a pass play, and it's incomplete. All of a sudden, Lou Saban just goes berserk on the sidelines. He calls timeout, and he just started, and he motions me to the sidelines. I go to the sidelines. He says, no more passing. Basically he said kind of run the clock out.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Run the clock out, or, no more passing. I said, God, we got a chance. And he said, if you don't keep the ball on the ground and run it out, or, basically said run it out. He says, I'm going to bench you. I'll bench you right now. And you won't play the rest of the season. He says, you think I'm bluffing? He says, you think I'm bluffing, mister? You try me. And I'm going, wait a minute. This is the head coach telling me that. We had another guy named Steve Ramsey who's the backup. And he said, I'll put Ramsey in right now and you're done. And I never, so I go back in the huddle. I got 10 guys in the huddle. Come on, let's go. Come on, let's go. Let's go win this thing. Let's go win this thing. And I'm going, gentlemen, or, guess what? We're just going to sit here and, kill it. And you know, that he put me in a lose-lose situation. And I would never forgive that coach for that. You know, we had a chance to win, and we didn't take it. And he put me in a lose-lose situation as far as, you know, hey, you're our leader. You're our new leader. We just traded for you. You're supposed to, you know, and you're going to lay down and die, like, you know.
Yeah.
You know, the head coach, he's calling the shot. And that's when I should have just said,
yeah.
I should have just said, you know, okay, I'm out here, you're there. You know, you come and get me and you let me off this field. That's what that's what I wish I'd have done.
Young man.
So that's what famous after the game, you know, that's when he said, how come you played to suffer the tide and didn't go for the win? Well, half a loaf is better than none. So we'd come out 2 weeks later and 35,000 people were booing us and throwing half loaves of bread at us and stuff. And then I got hurt a few games after, but you know, it was just, yeah, it was.
What amazing story, though. Like, and I can also tell, I can hear it in your conversation too, how, you know, you can remember those plays in detail, and that's a guy who loves the game.
Yeah,
it's a guy who loves the game. Well, here's one more thing. I want to end with this. Producer Chad is very much tied into the community in this Erie high school, and the football team's 6-4. They've had a little tougher year. Last year they were state runner-up, undefeated season. They're 6-4 now.
I've been on both sides of the.
Well, here's what I want to do, and maybe Producer Chad can play this clip for them. They're 6-4 and they got some talent. They had a little rough start to the season. Now they're picking up momentum, but they're 6-4 with Vince Lombardi and the Don Horn voice. What would you say to these guys to make another run for the whole thing? Knowing they had a little tough season, but it's in their heart, and I think they can do it.
Lombardi would say something like, well, in the old days, you know, gentlemen, you know, don't give up. Make that second effort. Try harder. You know, you're close. Now you know what it takes to get there. You know, a little more. That whatever that unknown is, you know where to go get it. You know,
find it deep inside you.
Go find it.
I love that. I love that. So, and I hope Producer Chad can just grab that clip and play it on their screen for him.
Yeah.
Don Horn, I tell you what, I can't even tell you how much I appreciate it. I mean, I'm surprised the Producer Chad's not yelling at me because he hates when I just go off the rails. But with a guy like you, I could sit here all night. Yeah. I mean, I really could. What a great human being you are.
Well, thank you. You're too kind. Yeah, thank you. But
well, I always call this a piece of living history, right? And because there's just not a whole lot of NFL quarterbacks just running around on the planet. Yeah, you're one of them.
Yeah. When I got this ring, there were like 58 players in the world that had a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah.
You know, first to say, you know, there were like 5 guys from Super Bowl 1 to 2. In fact, I think on Super Bowl 1, they said there's only 14 guys still alive on Super Bowl 1. There's only 18 on this team. And I always say, there's 18 on this team, and only 10 of them are aware of it.
I love that.
Anyway.
Oh my God, Don Horn, thank you so much for coming on our show. God, what a pleasure it's been. It's amazing. I'd like to shake the hand.
Yeah.
Thank you.